Hi, Karen here of Karen Clark Creations, an artsy introvert. I recently finished my sketchbook that I bought in 2020, and I thought I would share it with you. This is a sketchbook from Lake Michigan Book Press that I found on Etsy. However, the last time I checked, they weren't taking orders. I don't know if that's going to be a permanent thing or if it's just a small hiatus. Don't know. But I loved this book. Super hard, beautiful cover, beautiful binding. Oh my goodness. I just did this recently when I accidentally had tape on there too tight. That's unfortunate because it was great up until recently. So we'll start. 2020 is when I bought it. It was those dreary COVID times. The first painting is of some flowers that my fiance had bought me. And this is a vase that I blew myself before COVID was a thing. It was right before it happened. And it's one of my prized possessions. The flower here got a little bit out of the hand, but I remember painting this. And I remember going outside into a gazebo. It was warm. It was nice. It was I think, summer. And it was just such a nice way to spend the time. This was before I really got into plein air painting, but I wanted that connection with being outside, and I loved it. Oh, it was September, not summer. Close to fall. Next, we have some pumpkins that I took a picture of at a local produce place in Delaware. I loved how they were already stacked, and they really were that wonky. It was pretty cool. I loved that one. These are the last of a flower that my fiance gave me. I had lights pointing from a couple different directions at this, and so I loved the fun shadows there. Don't like these, but I was playing around in my sketchbook, so that's okay. This is horrible grapes, and just a really cute illustration. That one actually isn't too bad because I was just playing around, but this one I don't like. Here is the drive home from my mother-in-law's house on a back road in Maryland. I really like what the watercolor did there, just dropping water in into the wet paint. I just loved that. Here's an apple that I took a picture of at Sprague's Nursery in Maine. This was during our first real visit to where we were going to be moving to when we still lived in Maryland, and I took this photo and I just loved the picture, so I finally painted it, and I think it turned out pretty cute. Here is a dock from Chester River in Maryland. A chipmunk destroying a pumpkin, and it really makes me want to get pumpkins this fall because I forgot the chipmunks liked them. This is one of my favorites. I am so in love with how this turned out. This was a photo, I think, from Unsplash, and I used watercolor and I think Prismacolor pencils and a little bit of, I think, bleed-proof white on the very tippy ends. I think that's what I used. Love it. I just love it. It's one of my favorites ever. Love the colors. I'm not sure where that reference photo came from. I really love the airiness of it, but my shadows are wrong. I have shadows here on the wall, and then a shadow back there. I don't know why that is. Whatever. I still like it. Here is the driveway, and this is a road, but it looks like a driveway for Godfrey's Farm. It was a local produce place back when I lived in Maryland. I love the far away trees back there. Love that. Here's a reference photo that I took in Berlin, Maryland. I went with my mom. We did a little girls shopping trip. And I took this photo, and it was years before, and I just absolutely loved the photo, and I knew I was going to paint it someday, and it took me years, but I finally did it. Perspective is hard, y'all. Perspective is hard. Oh, I love the little fluffies on the blanket there. In these two, I was clearly playing with salt. This one came from my mind. It's cute. This one was a photo in a Maine Wildlife Facebook group, and I asked if I could paint it, and I was given permission to paint it. And I did this one on New Year's Eve 2021. I remember doing that. Here is a scene that I would see regularly outside my hometown, Sothersville, Maryland, when I grew up. And I finally just stopped and took a picture of it, and it turned out cute. I used pen and watercolor. I used some white gel pen, I believe, on some of the highlights. And then I also used some Prismacolor pencils. I found this photo, I think, on Unsplash. The background, I know I've said it before in some videos, I'll say it again. I have a problem with putting in dark backgrounds. I think it's because I never mix up enough, because I want to be so stingy with my stuff. So I knew this one was going to be a struggle for me, and it was. And I don't know if you can tell right here, I did it in 2 layers because I ran out. So I like it. I like that I did it. I don't like that I couldn't do that in 1 layer, and I'm working on that still. And this was in 2022, and I'm still working on that. I don't know what it is. I'm working on it, people. I took my mom for her birthday, I think it was, to Pennsylvania, and we went to the Mushroom Cafe, and we had lunch there, and I had cookies and a sandwich and delicious coffee, and I took this reference photo and painted it. I think it's so cute, and I remember that day with my mom, and that's what I really love about this. I cut up an orange, and I took a picture, and I painted it, and I really like it. This is watercolor and white gel pen. Here's another day with my mom. We took a Mother's Day drive. I really like it, except for this is water, and I don't think that tracks. Maybe because it's crooked, but I think it looks like a meadow or something, and it just doesn't. I don't know. Tell me, does it look like water, or does it look like grass? I like it. It still reminds me of my day with my mom when we just took a drive with no real intention of where we were going, and we pulled over and found this, so I really enjoyed that. And that was 2022. I painted that. So not very many pages, but I've already gone from 2020 to 2022. This was a precious sketchbook to me. It got hard to use it. Eventually I got the handle of it. I went to Windswept Gardens up here in Maine, and I just happened to find the nest in the corner of a gazebo, and there was a little robin sitting in it, and I thought it was so cute. I used watercolor and then gouache on this, and her beak got a little bit too fat, but I still think it's cute. I love the way the fern turned out. I think that's great. Here is our petunias that we had hanging from our porch one summer. I really like that one. I wasn't sure what to paint one day, so I went to one of those websites that just gives you a location, and you can just hit the button to get new locations and new location, new location. It's kind of fun. I wasn't liking any of them, and I finally landed on this one. I'm like, ugh, fine, I'll do that one. It's okay. It served its purpose. It's exactly what I needed that day. Nothing about it makes me excited today, but it's more about the process of making it, I think. So I used watercolor and I used some pen. I don't remember where that was. I should try to look that up. Okay, this says, they aren't all winners. Ha! were supposed to be stones. They were going to be like underwater, and I lost steam and realized it looked like Easter candy, and I got frustrated and I moved on. So that's what we're going to do right now. Here's sunflowers, and I don't remember what those are, but I bought them at a local farmer's market. And this was kind of, I wanted the colors to be kind of like the Ukraine flag colors. I think I missed the mark, but I still remember that. So it served its purpose. It's not what I intended it to look like, but looking back at it, I like the colors of the blue flowers. I think they're nice. These were foxgloves that I found at Lowe's, and I just did a quick line and wash deal on that, and I just love the airiness of it. I think that's so cute. And then we went to an antiques mall when my mother-in-law was visiting, and I saw these cups and saucers with the little fake flowers behind them, and I thought it was so cute. So here they are in my sketchbook. And I remember that day. That's what I love about sketchbooks. I'm remembering things that I probably wouldn't really remember if I hadn't gone back and looked at this. I find it so sweet. This one's upside down. It's supposed to be like this. I love watching nuthatches on my bird feeders. Love it. So I decided to paint one, and I absolutely adore this painting. I found that I love painting birds, even though I don't do it very often, but I love painting birds, and I love painting bark. And this is just a combination of everything I've been enjoying lately. The bark, I used some salts in there to get texture. And I really tried hard to get the definition so that it looks like the bark is popping out at you. And then I just did a sweet little, I intended these to be like a azalea bush. I love it. I love all this rounded little eyeball. Just wish it wasn't upside down, because it doesn't. They point downwards down a tree, and they hop downwards. That's what I love about that. So that's how I know this isn't a branch from up, it's from below. Still, okay. I'm pretty sure this was Lowe's. I wanted it to be loose, and it is extremely loose and extremely messy. I was dropping water in to try to get it to be crazy. I was doing different techniques. I think I used watercolor pencils. Actually, I can tell I used watercolor pencils because they didn't break down perfectly. It's fun. It's fun. This was a picture I took when I was visiting our family farm. I like the messiness of it. I like the wispiness of the trees. And this is a building that has just been there for a really, really long time. And it just accurately represents the family farm, in my opinion. My sister-in-law was visiting, and we took a drive up into the mountains because she had been to the Maine coast before, and she wanted to see Maine mountains. So we went for a nice little drive, and I saw this picture, and I took it. It was a beautiful October day. The leaves were just fabulous, and I loved this line of mailboxes at the end of a long driveway where everybody has their camps, I guess. I don't like the colored pencil edition, but I still really love it. I just can't get used to colored pencil. I think it's because I'm using cold press paper. My friend Trisha visited. We went to Wiscasset so she could have some Red's Eats. And I saw these zinnias with a monarch sitting on top. So I took a picture and then I painted it. That's not accurate representation of a monarch, but you can tell what it is, I think. On a Facebook group, I don't remember which one, I saw this picture and I decided to paint it. I got the perspective wrong on the table, but I posted it for her to see, and she loved it. So that made me smile. So you see, I went from December 31st, 22 to March 12th, 2023. Those time frame is hard for me to sit down and paint. I have a day job that takes up my time during the winter, so it's really hard to grab times, but also this book is precious, and so it was hard for me to just sit down and paint in it unless it was something really inspiring, and I've gotten over that. You will see I've gotten over that. Here is a painting from the first time that I met my friend Lindsay and Angela. We met for plein air painting at a little stream nearby. I really enjoyed this. It was watercolor and loose pen, and I love the bark texture that I got, and it just accurately represented how the day felt. It was warm and chilly at the same time because it was mid-April in Maine, so there were no real leaves on the trees yet, but there were some evergreens popping up, and then these red sticks. I don't know what that plant is, but their sticks are bright red in the winter. I really enjoyed that day. This is also from that day. The scene in front of me was very overwhelming, and when that happens, I tend to go to something small, and I want to paint that small thing instead. So I took a branch off of the tree and I sketched that. I'm not sure what kind of tree this is, honestly, but they're just the little buds that pop out in the spring. Oh, I love the cobalt. What is that? Cobalt teal, I think. Yeah, cobalt teal, Daniel Smith. Love that texture, granulating. I had a verbena. I think it was a verbena, not a lantana. I'm not sure. That I planted and a piece broke off, so I ran in and I put it in my little syrup vase. This is a syrup vase from Cracker Barrel. And I thought I would just paint it loosely with line and wash, and it didn't turn out like I liked, so I tried different variations of the blooms, and then I tried a little bit pen sketch, and I tried again, and I still didn't like it, but I still really enjoyed these 2 pages because I was testing things, I was playing around, and you know, sketchbooks can be serious, they can be light, it doesn't matter. As long as you're enjoying using it, that's what matters. I went plein air painting at Nasky Point in Maine, and it was such a foggy day. It was really, really cool, overcast. I loved it. It was gorgeous. All right, this is when I decided to turn the sketchbook into mainly challenges. So this was Inktober. This was the 10th day of Inktober, and the prompt was fortune. And I didn't like this at the time, but looking back now, I think he turned out pretty cute. I really like that I could see the metallic, the shiny metallic. Day 11 of Inktober, this was Wander. I didn't know what I wanted to do for Wander, so I went to Google Photos and I just typed in to search, I typed in flower, so I got a flower. And then I typed in bird, so I got a bird. And then I just started typing things in and I mashed it all up together and made this. So it was kind of like I was wandering through my memories in the form of photos. And I really think it turned out cute. I think it's adorable. This one is Spicy from Inktober. I want to love, what are those called? Bloody Marys. I want to love Bloody Marys, but they're always too spicy. I wish they came with less spice. But I love the idea. I love tomato juice. So I got that photo from Unsplash, I'm pretty sure. This prompt was Rise, and this was a sunrise just down the street one morning. It was so pretty. I played around with salt texture, and sunrises can be hard when you have different colors, I think. Not everybody thinks that, but I think you look at this and you think it's a sunrise or a sunset, but knowing this is to the east, it's definitely a sunrise. And I left out the house. There was a house back here. I got rid of it. It served me nothing. It did nothing for my picture, so it's gone. Here I went out to dinner. I remember working super hard. So this painting was from the 13th. This one's the 15th. I skipped the 14th because we were working in the yard and around the house, and it was a very strenuous day. But we went out to dinner that night, and when we were out to dinner, I noticed that there was a little sword dagger buddy in my cherry in my drink. And I knew the next day's prompt was dagger. So I took pictures and I painted two, one for the 14th and one for the 15th. Even though I skipped the 14th prompt, I felt like all was right with the rules because I painted two paintings. Whatever, it works. I think they turned out awesome. Loved them. Loved them. And that was a really fun dinner. The next day, the prompt was angel, so I had no idea what I wanted to do, so I just started thinking of things, and I was like, maybe an angel cookie. And then I came up with this idea of having a little cookie, or actually gingerbread cookie house street scene with a little angel hanging down, and I think it's cute. I probably could turn that into a Christmas card. The next day was demon, so I painted devil eggs. It is Inktober, and I am cheating a little bit because I'm drawing it in ink, but then mainly using watercolor. It fits. I used ink, right? I think it works. This one was saddle. I wanted to put a saddle on an animal, but I wanted it to be ridiculous, so I put it on what are they called? Is it just a hare? One of the really fast bunnies with big ears? Are they just called hares? I don't know, but it's a fast bunny because it's got a saddle on it. The next one was plump, so I painted my plumping lip gloss, and I remember this was the day before I left to go visit my family in Maryland, so I wanted something fairly quick before I went to bed early. And then when I got there the next day, I was super tired from driving. It's like 10 or 11 hours to get there. And I didn't want to paint the prompt frost, but I did. I sat there. Family was, it was after we'd played cards, and so tired, but I powered through and I painted this, and it turned out cute, I think. I can see the little frosties. And these are the ones I remember painting this at the kitchen table at my parents' house. The prompt is chain, and I thought, well, if you hit one, it would be a chain reaction, so I think that worked. The next one was scratchy. This is my kitty. Well, actually, I think this was an unsplashed photo now I think about it, but I wanted the color to be kind of like my ginger kitty. Then we have celestial, and it was talking to my sister-in-law. She says, oh, you should have drawn a bag of celestial seasonings tea. I'm like, oh, I should have. That would have been easier. This turned out cool though. I painted this waiting for my nephew to finish soccer practice, so it was so much water that I had dropped on the page. It was taking forever to dry because it was really humid, but it's cute. I like it. Then I drove. So this was the last day in Maryland, and I drove home, and I did skip the 24th of October, and I combined the two prompts for the 24th and 25th, shallow and dangerous. So I had a shallow pool, danger, no diving, it's shallow. The 26th was remove, so I removed some pencil. 27th was beast, and oh my goodness, I loved painting this one. Actually, I didn't paint it. It's all ink. It's all pen. And I sat on the sofa, and since I didn't have my watercolors, I was able to sit back and have my sketchbook on my lap, and it was just so enjoyable just using pen. And I think it turned out beautifully. It was just beautiful. So beast. That's my beast. Beautiful, beautiful beast. Day 28 was Sparkle, and I think that turned out nice. The 29th is Massive. Matthew Perry had just passed away, and I was sad. I was sad about that because Friends is my favorite show. It's my comfort show. And I'm a massive Friends fan, so I did a little nod to Matthew Perry. Rush was day 30, and my cat wants me to hurry and rush into feeding him every night, so I think that's my nod to him for Rush. Day 31 was Fire. I went to lunch with a friend of mine. I hadn't seen her in a while, and so she loves s'mores, and they had s'mores on the dessert menu, so we had little s'mores, what are those called? Propane? No, not propane. It's like the little blue, I don't know what they're called. You get the hint. You get it. This was on the table in the restaurant. And we made our s'mores. It was fun. This is a hibiscus that was growing in our yard, and I actually filmed this one, and I didn't release it on YouTube because it felt too long and too repetitive, so I didn't put it out. But I think it turned out really lovely. It was watercolor, and I used some gouache for definition on the leaves. I didn't like the shadow part. I'm not sure. I was going over and over and over in with spots, and it just felt clunky, so I didn't put it out. But I do really like the flower that I produced. Then we started World Watercolor Month this year. So I went from October 2023 to June 2024 because I had designated for challenges, but yet this one wasn't a challenge. So the rest of it is challenges. Day 1 of World Watercolor Month was pattern, so I chose the baseball stitch pattern. The second day was Rush, and I could not get the Paula Abdul song Rush, Rush out of my mind. So I went with a nod to cassette tape days with Paula Abdul's Single, not Signal. The third day was Turn, so I went downstairs and grabbed a screwdriver and painted it. This is Signal. That was the prompt. And I used the nautical flags. So nautical flags have two meanings. They have the alphabet, but they also have a meaning per flag. So I went with the alphabet, and I made a very important message. I thought if I was stuck on a boat and someone was coming to rescue me, I would want them to send donuts, please. I think that's important. Day 6 was Rusty, and we went and bought some rebar at Lowe's, and I thought that it was cool that they were rusty, and also the bottom of the cart was a little rusty. So that, I think, turned out pretty neat. Oh, I skipped day 5. Day 5 was patch, and I really liked the idea of having the operator patch you through on an old phone. And then day 7 was study, so I just grabbed some stuff around the house and made it look like I was studying. Day 8 is feather. This was my first YouTube video, and it was a dove feather that was in my yard. I love my doves, love them. Day 9 was trunk. This was so fun to paint. These are the redwoods in Big Trees National Park in Calaveras. I don't remember. It was in California. My uncle took me. I don't remember the actual name of the park, but they're redwoods. Took my mom and I with him and his family. It was a beautiful day, and I kept looking up at the tippy tops of these huge trees and just being in awe. So I love how the texture came out on these big beautiful trees, and how the sky just really looked like that. Beautiful. Day 10 is buried, and this was actually a photo of mine. Back when I was into photography, I pulled over and took this photo. It was a cemetery, and when I drove by, I saw these tulips, and they were just so beautiful. So I pulled over and crawled around on the ground and took this photo, and 7 or 8 years later, I'm painting it. I figured it works because people are buried, and so are the tulip bulbs. Morbid maybe, but still works. The 11th was huddle, so I went to our fridge, grabbed some cherries and huddled them together and painted them. Day 12, I wanted to be super simple and super easy. The prompt was scratch, so I went and got my back scratcher and painted it very quickly. Day 13 is arch. This came from my mind. I looked around on Unsplash and Pixabay for probably 10 minutes, and I wasn't finding what I wanted, and I realized, well, make what you want. So I decided to have an arch and a fence and a big beautiful meadow behind it. And I think that I can hear the leaves and the bees just floating around and enjoying the warm day. Day 14 was spiral, so I took a picture of my newly planted grapevines, and there was a beautiful little spiral on that vine, so it worked great. Day 15 is vitamin. These are my vitamins I take daily. Super fun. Day 16 is fiber. I had took a picture of my Cheerios. It was Hearty Nut Cheerios. And I didn't know that there are heart Cheerios in there. I thought it was so cute. So I took a picture and sent it to my niece because, heart. And I realized it worked great for the prompt fiber. So there's my heart fiber Cheerios. Day 17 was plant. These are unripe blueberries that we planted this year. Day 18 was record or record. I went with record, and I figured, okay, so what is a ridiculous record out there? So I went with Nathan Hot Dog, because Nathan Hot Dog eating contests. This was actually a photo from Unsplash, but it was very loosely based on that photo. It wasn't a very good picture. I mean, no, it was a great picture. It wasn't a very good representation of the picture. It's fine. Widen. I love how kitties, when they get playful or scared, their eyes widen. And so I went with a playful kitty, but he is a bit wonky. He's cute. Day 20 is striped. I was sitting outside enjoying the morning, drinking my coffee, and watching my birds. I love my birds. So I saw a sparrow, and I love the stripe around their eye, and I thought, hey, that works. So I found a picture on Unsplash and painted it. And here again, my love of birds, but love of painting birds, but I don't paint them often, and I don't know why. I should. It brings me joy. I should do it. Day 21 is filter, and I changed it to no filter. Day 20, I got married. That night I got married, and this was a picture I took from the sailboat ride of when we got married. And it was a little tough to paint the next day. Sunsets are hard, especially when they're such vivid colors. I think. Some people don't think that. I think it. But I think it turned out lovely. The beautiful pink and the yellow, actually it was orange, and then the little bit of pink that was on the water, and then the mast from the sailboat. I'm going to remember that forever. I love it. All right, we're getting to the end. Day 22 was pull, so I took a picture of our ceiling fan and the pull and painted it. Is it wonderful? No. But did I do it? Yes. And day 23 was tidal. And this poor little fishy had died on our rock in the river. So we have a really big rock out there, and there's holes all over it. And so when the tide comes up, it fills with water. And then when the tide goes down, it slowly drains. And this poor little guy or gal didn't make it. And I wouldn't normally take a picture of something like that because it does very much sadden me. But I knew tidal was coming up, and this was a perfect representation of the tide that I experience every day out on the river. So that's it. This is the end of my sketchbook. I hope you enjoyed that. I have a couple other sketchbooks if you know, in the works. So when they're finished, maybe I'll give you a walkthrough of those as well. I think it's really cool to see how it started and then how it progressed and how it ended. I do think I have very much improved from 2020, even though I thought that these were great. I love how I progressed over time, and I love how it's all neatly saved in a sketchbook. I don't have to go rooting around in a box to find it. It's just sitting up on my shelf. I'll open this back up. On my shelf, and I can get it down and pull and see my progression over time and my memories. Like those memories back here. I love it. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you like this kind of a thing. Please subscribe, and I've got plenty of other videos in the works. So I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.